Welcome to the Miles Pod Morning Show. Again, I have Monty Shockley here, CEO and founder of Shockley Intellectual Capital, SIC Omaha. How goes it, sir?
It is going well.
Please explain to the audience why you're buying an F-22 Raptor and what that is exactly.
So an F-22 Raptor is the most advanced fighter jet that the U.S. military has in its arsenal. And the reason I'm interested in getting one is because it has just an insane amount of speed and stealth. It's like one of the most stealthiest fighter jets on the planet. So if I need to go to Chicago or New York or China in a hurry, I'm there.
You know, most of us just book a first class ticket or even go private. You want to buy a jet.
Yeah, well,
No, not a jet, a fighter jet, a military grade airplane, death machine. You want to fly personally.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
I don't want any doubt in anybody's mind that I'm not trying to make an impact on this planet. So I got deadlines, man. I got to get there.
I just can't imagine you coming into a business meeting and bringing your jet down and like the faces of everyone that's looking upon this thing just slowly descending on this private airstrip.
You know,
The fear that would come over people's faces.
It's not only the fighter jet, it's part of my philanthropy plan for what I want to do with my legacy, because it actually requires, even if I buy one, it requires a military, what do you call that, convoy to escort you throughout the country, or else they'll pick you up and try to shoot you down. So it's my way to get more tax dollars spent on U.S. military. So yeah.
Oh my God. How much is this fighter jet that you want to ride around like it's it's your little Porsche?
Well, I'm hoping I could get a really good deal because it has to be used.
So it has to be.
It has to be.
It has to have flown over
I
love
war. Nothing would make me
on people before you could actually got it.
Nothing would make me happier than to buy one spanking brand new, but they don't offer those for sale to the general public, and it has to be a used aircraft.
How much is this? How much is this plane?
I was told to expect maybe 400, 500 million, and then maybe like 250 to maybe 300 million a year for the concierge service by the military to get from point A to point B safely.
I'm done. The fact that you're contemplating this purchase is just beyond me. Yeah, let's get started. Bitcoin price falls under 64,000. Oh no. We had a flash crash. Yes, sir. We are Bitcoin dips under 63K, leading to market-wide correction. Yes, the crypto market capitalization fell more than 8%, according to CoinDesk. It slipped under 63,000 in European morning hours today. The whole market tumbled. The losses came after a day of large outflows from the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF and lower than usual inflows of the other ETF products on Monday.
There it is. There it is right there. Grayscale. I told you, they sold a bunch of that stuff to private investors and charged them, took them to the cleaners to get a hold of some Grayscale Bitcoin funds. And now all of a sudden we have a huge sale. I wonder why.
They're getting their money back.
You could rewind the show. I told from the last one or the first one. I knew they were going to do that.
Yeah, they pumped it to dump it.
They pumped it and then they dumped it.
I'm trying to tell everybody, you got to be careful with these crypto markets, especially when these guys get on there and they start talking about $200,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year. $500,000 Bitcoin at the end of the quarter.
The scariest thing is when you get people on CNBC that say, well, if every millionaire wanted one, there aren't enough to go around. So imagine $1 million a coin. There aren't enough millionaires, or there aren't enough coins to give to every millionaire if they wanted to buy one. So that's where they create, and they say it very seriously, but in the back of their head, I'm telling you, they're all looking for exit strategies. You don't go into a business deal without an exit strategy already mapped out. So did it ever hit 75?
It got close. It got very close.
Yeah.
I think it's 73, 74. I mean, it is pretty much right around your target there.
Right around my target, right? See, we probably had some very wealthy people watching the show and they're like, all right, he was telling the truth. Time to sell.
Yeah, here's what's probably going to happen with this. Either it's going to trade sideways and do this until, like you said, it hits that $75,000 price, or it's going to just continue to correct and it's going to get bad. Like, in fact, there was one exchange this morning where Bitcoin flash crashed down to $8,500 for like a split second.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, because there were so many orders that were backed up.
Great time to buy. Man.
If you somehow got it, like if you somehow like triggered a bot to buy it at 8,500, oh my God.
Man, that's a good day for you.
Oh,
and
man.
We're decentralized, so it's like nobody can come back and say, yeah, it was a mistake. We tried to, the servers went down, went haywire, so we got to reverse everybody's transaction. Nah. Not in the decentralized market.
So what's people's move now? If somebody bought in and let's say they didn't sell off, they still got it. What's their move right now, Monty?
It depends on your entry. Like, does it scare you enough yet where you think, well, what would happen to my wealth if everything went to zero based on my holdings? Am I okay with that? So maybe it's time to look inside yourself and say, hey, do I need this money? Do I really need it? Because if that scared you, it's time to sell.
Yeah, and here's another thing that's scary too is the Fed is meeting as we speak. They're supposed to be done on Thursday, and according to the New York Times, people are worried that inflation progress might stall. They're saying it's hovering around 3%. And so I predict that we're going to see the market tank today because people are probably trying to sell and get some cash ahead of the news that's going to come Thursday. And I also think that this happened with people with Bitcoin holdings. They sold in anticipation of what is going to be said. But I just don't believe we're around 3% in terms of inflation. I think things are incredibly expensive still right now. And even to me, the author of this article, Gianna Simalik, seems to be just intellectually dishonest with how she writes this. Like, she's basically saying that the economy has remained surprisingly strong and inflation, while still down sharply from its 2022 highs, has proved stubborn, and that it's been relatively painless going through this high inflationary period in our history. which I couldn't disagree with her more. I think it's been incredibly difficult and uncomfortable, especially if you're an entrepreneur, to be successful during this time. Your thoughts?
By no means is that an actual inflation number. 3% is ridiculous because you have to look at all the populations, right? There are all these little subsects of communities. So, you might be asking yourself, well, does that only apply to people who make, 50,000 or more, or is this only Hispanics? Is this African Americans? What type of inflation are we talking about here? Because relative to what community you're in, this has been a very, very difficult winter season to stomach.
Yes.
We've got bad weather everywhere. Florida, California, tornadoes already ripping through Missouri, Mississippi, the whole belt there, where usually people are gearing up for tourism, because it's starting to get warmer. And, what's the cost to rebuild? I just don't think that's baked into that number. I think she's probably only analyzing growth in the stock market is my intuition.
Yeah, I don't know where the 3.5% comes from, but it's masking the fact that prices are still incredibly high. And if you go to the grocery store, for example, a decent bottle of milk that's not pure garbage is going to cost you at least $5 for 1 liter of milk. A bag of ground coffee, Starbucks brand, is going to cost you $12. It was never $12 before. I'm telling you, everything is felt at the grocery store. It's felt at the gas pump. The gas is getting high again. I mean, and again, it's been really tough for entrepreneurs to create new business because everybody is trying to minimize their expenses. Everybody is trying to utilize artificial intelligence to reduce their staff, to reduce their workload, to reduce the amount of tools that they need to use. Software SaaS companies are starting to see a little rise, but I imagine that a lot of my fellow entrepreneurs have paused their subscriptions on a lot of their tools just to make sure that their cash flows are okay.
Yeah, what I hear in the broader market is a lot of companies cutting jobs. I'm not hearing growth. I'm not hearing sales. We're hiring reinforcements. We're not growing. We're playing with accounting tricks, and that number is an accounting trick. I promise you. I don't know where she got that from, but.
And another thing too, they're starting to break the news on the fact that a lot of jobs, a lot of employers are posting ghost requisitions, meaning they want to appear like they're hiring, so there's an appearance that they're doing well, but they actually do not intend on filling those positions. And this does one of two things. It allows them to collect data from people that really need jobs, that are looking for jobs, and they see this opportunity at Google and they just right away go for it. Little do they know, Google doesn't actually have a position open. They're just trying to gather your data. Another thing is that basically they sell this data too. So it's a profit machine if you can collect all this requisition data from people. And then of course you posture to your competitors and say, well, look at us, right? We got all these hundreds of job openings, and so we're doing really well financially. And then the gov sees this and says, oh, we got more jobs than ever before. We have 3, 4, 5, 10 million job openings. And it's like, well, 80% of those are all ghost requisitions. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah, I just don't buy it. I don't believe those numbers at all. And if you really want to look at some data, do a survey of every undergraduate institution in America and ask the people who work in their career development offices, how many actual students have you placed in the last year? How many?
Yeah, we're not going to see that statistic. I mean, it should be a requirement at this point for universities, especially if you're a private university, and well, actually, especially if you're public, that you have to work to place students in jobs, especially if you're commanding a substantial amount for tuition. Like you have to make your career center a priority and beef it up with employees so that they can work to get these students placed. Which is
what are those students commanding as a salary? It might surprise you what the average is.
Well, yeah, when we got out of college, it's like 2008, 2007 financial crisis. I mean, I know I was still in I think it was in my second or third year, and you were graduating. How was that, trying to get a job? Did the university help you?
The university wasn't. They weren't as helpful as they were once I got into wealth management. Out of college, it was brutal. You're basically left on your own to kind of figure out what's out there. You didn't really have employers coming looking for you. It was a complete 180 to what I thought the process would be like.
Well,
it was also very difficult to get a job.
So for people looking for jobs right now and they're struggling, you have any suggestions for them, having gone through what you went through when you graduated to you starting your own company now?
Well, I couldn't get a job through the normal process. You know, going online, posting your resume, posting your CV, you know, highlighting your experience. I couldn't get any of that. I couldn't get any traction doing it. So I used a temp agency for the first, 7 years once I was done with school. So my suggestion is, if you don't have anything right away, do not sit at home at all. Do not sit. Now you go hunt for temp agencies, because you need to build that experience on a resume so you can try to keep climbing and keep navigating while you're looking. Because sometimes jobs don't pop up right away. It's not like, they say hiring season is in June. Sometimes that's not always the case. There's less jobs available than people looking for them. So that would be my advice starting out. If you know which direction you want to go to, stay in the industry somehow, but do not wait. Go immediately into temp agencies that help people find work, and you take whatever you can get. Don't even ask questions.
Yeah, don't be ashamed of that temp agency. I know, I feel like it's frowned upon to go that route, and it shouldn't be. Exactly. You need a job right away, go to the temp agency. Their job is to place you somewhere. So you want somebody on your side. It's like having an agent that tries to, get you the best deal possible if you're a professional athlete.
Yep. You don't want to go a full year without. I mean, if the national average is 60 grand, 50 grand a year for a household, you don't want to go a whole year making half of that, because you're not going to be able to survive. So you got to be aggressive. You got to pivot. And if any of those temp agencies they're not filling your job rec, then you gotta figure out gig economy. You got to do something.
Yeah, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of today, is that you have gig economy to support you. You have Uber, you have DoorDash, you have TaskRabbit or Tasker. You got all these different gig economy things to help you get some cash flow. But really, now it's all about relationships. It's all about relationship building. And I know a great strategy is to just reach out to people who work at the company that you want to work for on LinkedIn and just start to message them and say, hey, what's up? Like, I just want to know a little bit more about your company, what you guys do. I admire it. I admire, what you do. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? And people will be flattered. And then before you know it, you're priming those people at the company to eventually vouch for you when you actually apply. So if you're not going to go to school to be a doctor or lawyer, the whole purpose of you being there is for you to be the most popular person on campus, and not in an irresponsible way, but your whole goal every day it should be to network and connect with as many students on campus as possible to establish meaningful connections with as many folks as possible. So at the end of 4 years, you literally know at least 1,000 people that would be able to vouch for you and get you in at some company that they get at.
Right. Yeah, you want to cast your net wide, definitely. And don't be afraid of the trades either. If you want to learn to be a plumber, carpenter, electrician.
Oh, dude, plumbers right now making bank.
It's a very good thing to do. And the best thing is, if you have a college education, it'll help you learn better. So people who are hiring for apprenticeships will be less apprehensive bringing you on if they know, hey, this person, he has proof that he thinks he's smart, or she's smart, and give you an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, instead of pivoting towards a master's program, pivoting to a trade is a pretty nice hack, because like I said, electricians, carpenters, anything that has to do with the construction of a home, plumbers, plumbing, all that, all the trades, everybody in those fields are getting paid astronomical amounts of money. They have been busy for the last 4 years with nonstop work. It's insane.
Auto technicians that are going to have the skills that they need to deal with all the EVs out on the road, highly sought after. I'll even give you another example. I met a guy, and this is going to blow your mind. This guy was a very, very intelligent programmer from India. And he asked me what I did. What was I in? The first thing he said, was I in IT? I said, no, but I'm familiar. I have a lot of IT related issues that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And he said, well, he was like, don't quit. It's like, you know how I got my job? I started as a janitor.
No way. He did a Goodwill Hunting? No way.
No, seriously. And this was smart. This was smart. He said, I started as a janitor. It was the only company, it was the only job at the place that I wanted to work as a programmer. But I knew that they had a tendency to hire internals. So it was the only way for me to see what other jobs were there. And it gave me 2 years experience at the company. And he reapplied for a programmer. 2 years later, he was a 6-figure employee.
That's insane. Wow. Yeah.
So
he literally did a Goodwill Hunting.
When you're trying to get your foot in the door, get it in the door.
Right. By any means necessary.
Time. Doesn't matter what position it is. You got to get in there. Because the days of people going out, I told you, even 2008, 2007, nobody legitimate was, there were some legitimate people, but in finance, the industry was destroyed. Like, there was nobody looking for my brain back when I graduated.
Nobody's brain. Everybody was devastated. Everybody's 401ks have been emptied out. They're losing their houses, let alone are they going to be sympathetic towards a fresh out of college school kid who's looking for a job?
Thinking back, I did have a customer service position that was offered to me by E-Trade, and I just thought it wasn't enough. So naively, I could have taken that position and applied this guy's tactic and worked my way into the company. Surprisingly, though, back in 2018, I went to work for Morgan Stanley. Now, who acquired E-Trade? So eventually I ended right back up at the in the same place. But
well, do me a huge favor. You denied me last time, but I'm going to put it on your plate again.
No, I can't.
I need you to show me how to do the tie. You got to do the tie. Here's why. Hold on. Here's why. Because I got to warm up this. I got to go get some fresh coffee. While I'm getting coffee, could you just show the audience how you do the tie? All right. I'll be right back. Right, I'm putting down the headphones.
I can't do
the headphones are going down.
All right, you want to see the tie? Here we go. All right, here's the tie. Now, taking it off is a little tricky sometimes. So there it is, right there, right? Little raptor claw right there. Okay. Pull down, boom. Tie's done. Now, I'm going to show you from scratch. I want to keep it up there like Count Chocula. There you go. That's what the knot looks like. Okay. So it's pretty tight. What you want to do, I'll show you. Okay. We're done. Nobody's going to do this on CNBC, by the way. Nobody's going to show you this. I had a guy once. He showed me how to iron this bad boy so I could lower my dry cleaning costs. So God bless Justin Nabity wherever he is, because he did me a solid. Took me right into his office and showed me how to do it. Okay, small end. You want the small end right by your belly button. So the end of it should go down to your belly button, okay? Now what you want to do is you want to go over big side, right? You go through like this, right? Go through.
Oh, it's looking good so far.
You wrap it. So you wrap that bad boy like so. Right here.
So loop, swoop.
Whoop. Swoop. Right? Just like that. And then, after you wrap it, hold on here. Having a little malfunction here.
I know it's hard to do it while looking at the computer or looking at the screen.
It's because the camera's inverted. That's why.
Correct.
So everything you do is opposite. All right, hold on. Let's go back. I'm gonna go back to my own. You dig? Okay.
Yeah. Don't even look at your screen. Just do it as if we're not even here.
Can't look at the camera. Okay. So you go back. That'll help if it was actually on the right side, right? Okay, there you go. Belly button length.
Belly button length. Check.
Belly button length. Check. You go around like this. Check. Okay. Then you go around again. Check. Okay. Then there you see that?
Yeah, you see that wrap?
See that wrap?
Put it up. Yeah, then you wrap it across.
And you wrap it.
Ah, look at that.
Then you wrap it.
Look at that.
You wrap and then you pull up. Boom. Then you put it in the front pocket like this, right?
That looks good.
Boom.
Is that a Windsor knot? Is that what that's called?
It's called the Shockley knot.
The Shockley knot. Got it.
Wherever you go there.
And then you just tighten it up.
And you tighten that bad boy. This is got a malfunction here. Yeah.
There we go.
Mess up. And this happens all the time. So when you mess it up.
That looks good, though. What you had looks good. So you're a perfectionist.
I got a problem with that. Sorry.
I like that.
It's the camera angles. The knot's not good, though. You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gonna do it tighter? Where did you find this tie? Where was this tie acquired from?
Men's Warehouse.
Man, you stand by Men's Warehouse.
It's a little
that looks good.
It's a little off.
And then you just put your collar down over it. Last step.
Yeah, that's the last step. But I'm going to show you a second option. Okay.
All right. Second option.
That's a complicated knot. That's like for a formal event. Now, if you're pinched for time,
which most men are, the last thing to do is put on the tie.
If you're pinched for time and you can't breathe, okay, this is what you want to do. Same thing. Low part to the belly button. You wrap 1, 2 times, right?
Yep.
Go up. After you wrap.
Wrap twice. Go up.
Wrap twice. Go through the top. See that?
Go through the top.
All right. As soon as you go to the top, pull it down.
Pull it down. Tighten that bad boy up. Oh, it's really fast. You just tighten that up real quick. Look at that.
And then you pull it down.
Yeah, if you like that thin look, there you go.
It's usually
looks good. Looks good. Hold on. That's a standing ovation. Looks good.
Now that knot's good if you're wearing a black suit. That's what you want to do if you got a black suit on. You could go 3 if it's too long, but
what about the guys that put the little clip on there? You a clip guy? You put the clip on the tie?
No, I'm usually wearing a 3-piece, so no clip.
You don't even need the clip.
No, because
what's the clip for? What is that?
The clip is to stick the tie to your chest, so in case it's windy or you're moving, the tie doesn't fly all over the place.
Ah, okay, I see. Now, what about the little pin? The little pin at the top of the knot. Have you seen those?
The pin goes right through here so that during the day, when it starts to unravel because you're moving around, it'll keep the knot in place.
Ah, okay.
The pin right there. That's how that works.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you entertaining my curiosity. I'm pretty sure that a lot of men watching this are going to benefit from those 2 demonstrations. So let's get into AI a little bit. What just happened at Nvidia is absolutely insane. They debuted their next generation Blackwell AI chip. And essentially, this thing is the world's most powerful chip now. It's 100 times better than their already highly coveted H100 and H200 GPUs. I mean, just last quarter alone, the company made their revenue was $18.4 billion, and they reported annual revenues of $27 billion for all of 2022. That's pretty insane. You had $27 billion in revenue 2 years ago, and now just last quarter, you're at $18.4 billion. This chip is supposed to basically be the it enables, it's the engine to power very high capacity AI. So you can use this chip to train your AI or your large language model at rates that are unprecedented. What does this mean for Nvidia, and what does this mean for companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, and Tesla, who are currently using or developing their own? They're currently using Nvidia chips or using their own in-house AI chips.
Back in 2011, Nvidia was a whimsical ticker symbol. It had no firepower. But the people who knew about what Nvidia was doing, those people were gamers. Because you knew that if you wanted to really compete on your PCU, you needed an Nvidia chip. Like it was absolutely necessary to be able to handle the type of games that were coming out during that time. So, shout out to all my gamers out there. And back then it was under $100. I want to say it was like 50 something. I want to say 54. It could have even been in the 20s if my memory suits me right. Now the company's just exploded. The real question about Nvidia is, what are they doing after these sales are made? Where does their capital go once with all that profit, with the net profits of the company? How are they investing the money that the market is giving them to develop these chips? And I think if they consistently keep doing that, whatever that is, they've done the right thing by taking a look at this technology and saying, how do we support it, and how do we get it in the marketplace?
Well, some people are thinking this is the start of in Terminator. Remember the chips that they made that led to the robots turning against humans? That's what they're saying this chip is. Is like the beginning of the end. Because AI is already so powerful. So then to up the ante and make another chip that's 100 times more powerful than what's on the market is like insane to imagine. Skynet from the movie. That's what they say this is. The beginning of Skynet.
For sure. Do I like the valuation of the company? What is what's the market cap for Nvidia today?
I mean, this is really the first time where we see revenue like actually being what motivates people to buy into this company, whereas usually it's the fact that these companies are using money and buying their own stock. So they're kind of, yeah, that's a good technique, but it doesn't necessarily show that the company's growing per se. But we actually see sales growth with this company, and to go from 22 in 1 year, 22 bill to 18.2 or 18.4 in 1 quarter is astonishing.
Yeah, it's they're posting very good numbers. If I could buy the whole company, I would. That doesn't take any math to understand. So if you're an investor, it's probably not a good market for a trading environment per se. But if you were going to buy a whole company today that was leading the pack and pioneering transformation in AI infrastructure, you'd probably want to buy this one.
Well, I got a fun one here. Folks, I think I got some bad news. Costco, their CFO of the last 40 years retired this past Friday. So guess what? The fate of the iconic hot dog and soda, the hot dog and pop combo may be at risk. No longer 150. Who knows? I think it's gone, folks, but let's see here. CNBC reports that they asked this guy, Galanti, what's going to happen with the iconic combo once he's gone? He said it's probably safe for a while. Probably safe. But he says in order to keep the cost where it's at, the other parts of the business keep the Franken beans there at the same price since the Reagan administration. So some businesses that are doing well, he said, with margin, those things help us be more aggressive in other areas or allow us to hold the price on a hot dog and soda a little longer forever, he said. So it seems that they raised the price on their other products in order to keep the 150 hot dog combo.
I gotta stop you for a second. I gotta stop you for a second. You got the CFO of Costco with one of the biggest supply chain disasters in the past decade still unraveling. And the only question the interviewer asked was, what's going to happen to the hot dog?
Happen with the hot dog. Yeah, the hot dog. But this guy's a straight up G, man. He said, we generate more money than we need every year. So I'm not trying to look for the last penny by doing something a little more risky.
Look, they better not jack the price up on the hot dog. I can tell you that.
But isn't this the answer for a lot of companies? Like, for instance, Five Guys. If Five Guys was like, all right, we're no longer going to make our burgers $30 a piece. We're going to keep the burgers less than $10 and raise the price on everything else. That, to me, solves their issue with everybody in the market perceiving their product to be too costly or overpriced.
I don't like that as a strategy. You never sacrifice long-term profits for short-term gains. You got a problem with hot dog sales? You're not making enough money? Guess what the answer is? You sell more hot dogs. Sorry.
No, that's what I'm saying is like the issue with, remember, Five Guys exploded. Like, this is a pretty good method. This guy said, we know that people count on this hot dog being $1.50. So even though we could be greedy and try and pull every penny that we can, we don't risk that because that jeopardizes our reputation with our product and our customers. That jeopardizes our reputation as a company. Now, if other fast food places had the same approach, maybe they would be as successful as Costco, because you look at a company like Five Guys, which exploded due to their connection to Obama saying it was his favorite burger. Everybody went, you ate the peanuts, you ate their fresh, off the grill burgers with the fries. But then you started to realize, oh my God, for two people, I'm spending $40. So you can't get over the fact that it's so expensive. So you reduce the frequency of the amount of times that you show up to the restaurant because it's too overpriced. It's beyond your customer base, because nobody that is, nobody that's making less than $50,000 a year is going to splurge on Five Guys twice a month. It's just not going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. They might, because it's really good, right? But the pain is bad too. Like, you want to do something nice for yourself. So every once in a while you sneak over there and get you a nice juicy burger. But with Costco, you see, they're the McDonald's of their industry when it comes to real estate. Because I've never seen, and this is why, rest in peace, one of my mentors, Charlie Munger, right? Warren Buffett's business partner. He loved Costco. And I think what he didn't say is what was most important. And what Charlie Munger didn't say about Costco is that usually Costco's are always next to two types of restaurants: Chick-fil-A and Panera. Chick-fil-A has a license to print money as well, jam-packed to the brim. Now, if Costco is right next to Chick-fil-A, also packed to the brim, and you have Panera, not so packed to the brim, you have what Phil Jackson would call the triangle. You throw the ball into the triangle within 15 feet, it's a slam dunk. And there's no...
Dude, Panera bread is trash, bro. I'm sorry. Monty,
Look,
Panera bread is trash. I'm sorry.
It's a triangle.
I apologize to anybody that works there, anybody that likes their food. It's trash. You guys trash the company.
All I gotta say is stick to the bagels. That's what they do.
Bagels, yeah, that's fine. They've been consistent. The sandwiches, though, nah. They started off packing, loading them sandwiches up with meat, stacked tall, room high, ceiling tall sandwich. Yeah. And then after they got popular, all of a sudden they're like, we're gonna do a couple slices now. We're gonna reduce the sandwich size and then sell it for $12 still.
Exactly. So if you're a parent and you're in Costco, you're doing what? You're trying to save money.
Right.
You're trying to be smart about this. And as you're heading out the door after spending a lot of money, right, at Costco, because you're trying to save money and time by buying in bulk, the first thing that pops up in your head is, what am I going to feed the kids now? And the fact that Costco has a very consumer-friendly, low-priced, feel-good hot dog and pizza slice that I can get for everybody under $20. When I think in my head what's around me, because I still got those same problems, money and time. I can't afford to go to Chick-fil-A right now. And Panera is way overpriced. So psychologically, I say, well, at the very least, I can get my hot dog. I can get a hot dog for everybody for $10. Call it a day.
The best deal on the planet.
You've done your dad duty.
The best deal on the planet.
Right. Exactly.
It's just like Little Caesars when they had the $5 large pep pizzas, man. That was saving people, saving family.
I know. That's a good segue into personal finance, though. I like that. Costco. They even sell cars at Costco, believe it or not.
Did you say cars?
Yeah, cars. Like Carvana cars.
At Costco?
Yeah.
Where do they sell cars?
They sell cars.
No way.
Yeah. You get a good discount on a car if you get it with your Costco membership.
Oh my God.
They give you a ton of points too for
speaking of cars. Speaking of cars, the CEO of Hertz fired, out, done. Ooh. According to CNN Business, following electric car horror show, the CEO of Hertz was fired. Back in January, they announced that they were selling 20,000 of their electric vehicle fleet, and about a third of the EVs it owned is now. So basically, they sold a third of their total fleet, which was, so they must have had at least 60,000 freaking EVs across the country, which is insane because every time you go there, they don't have any damn cars. They took a $245 million hit to its earnings due to the drop in value of the EVs it was selling. So basically, they bought at the top of the line, right? Top of the market, and so they had to get rid of it. Which is crazy because EVs for the first time, American customers purchased 40% more for the first time. So EV purchases are up 40% in the US since last year, and they still weren't able to get this done. The execution and marketing of EVs by Hertz was a horror show across the board. And this analysis said, and it's a black eye they couldn't recover from. What does this mean for the future of Hertz and this market, this rental car market? Because Avis apparently did very well, is doing good, but it just seems like Hertz really poorly executed this. They already filed, remember, they already had filed bankruptcy back in 2020.
Right.
The predecessor, the earlier CEO. They've had 5 CEOs in the last 4 years. What does that mean about this company?
Well, the board is doing a terrible job identifying talent, or at least the chief human resources officer. First and foremost, I'd like to put a bid out to purchase Hertz, because the critical mistake they made was they bought EVs to rent them, but the people who rented the EVs don't have the infrastructure to actually plug it in.
That's exactly what they said. They said people don't want to rent them because they don't have the at-home chargers, and they don't want to go out of their way to sit there for 20 minutes to charge the damn things.
Right. If I'm traveling, I need a rental. Where's your infrastructure? What they should have done was they should have slowly but surely built Hertz supercharging stations and competed with Tesla. And eventually they would be able to pitch, hey, come rent at Hertz. We have our own charging stations. And now all the money that was spent at the gas station is going where? It's changing form from gasoline to electricity, and it's being purchased by Hertz. That was the critical mistake they made. They didn't have enough creativity, the foresight really, to go in there and fix the infrastructure problem, which is still a problem.
Well, I'll tell you from personal experience that Hertz is one of the worst run companies, American companies, that I've ever been a part of. From the bottom all the way up to the top, it's a complete crap show. Complete crap show. It's a miracle if you walk out of there with a car. I mean, just from their partnership with Uber, how much they were charging drivers, how they would bill drivers almost 2 or 3 months after they stopped using the vehicle to create these traps of getting them caught up in having to pay fines and fees for not making their payments, getting them banned from utilizing their services, because they would put all the liability on drivers to rent these cars. And the price was astronomical. It was like $1,400 a month if you include all the charging fees, because they charge you on the back end. So at first, it seems like a great opportunity because you're getting a brand new Tesla, Model 3, which is the cheapest one that they had, for, $300 a week, right? But then when you start to see how much little money you're making off the Uber platform, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you were using that car to simply get around to make, other deals happen, like let's say you're in real estate, you're a real estate agent, it makes sense because you can Uber in your off time, but you're making the majority of your money doing sales. It makes sense to go through Hertz to do that. But if any scratch or anything happens to that car and you don't have liability insurance, you're finished because they are going to charge you an arm and a leg to have just a little scratch taken off those damn cars.
It's a very difficult space to compete in. The market for the cars changed. It went from most of our customer base is coming from people traveling who need a rental car, or people who, for some reason, they got into an accident or something like that, and they need a rental car until their car's finished getting fixed. And that changed because of the gig economy. Now you got people who need to rent cars because they can't afford life. It's a completely different narrative, and that goes back to your inflation question. Do I believe that inflation is at 3%? Absolutely not, because the majority of people who are not upper middle class, high net worth people, it's really hard to make a living. It's really hard to get a break. And I will say this, the political environment wasn't, it's not conducive towards rental car companies. The amount of legal maneuvering that has to be done in order for everything just to look right, all the papers with all the words that nobody ever reads that they have to put on there for some reason, it's astronomical, but it's not completely on the rental company. We need to learn how to reduce the friction between government and private business when we're providing a public service. And I just find it outrageous that all parties involved couldn't come to terms with that reality. And it's absolutely tragic. So if Hertz wants to sell, I gladly have that conversation.
Well, take a look at their operation, for example. One, they usually train and hire one manager that's, probably making like $60,000 a year to handle this entire facility. Then they get a couple other people who are training that think they're going to become managers, but really they're the counter people, the face. I've never seen people more angry than people at a car rental facility. That's for some reason human beings get so angry in those scenarios. And so those people get bludgeoned to death with confrontation constantly. So the churn rate is very high. It's a revolving door. Now, that's just the actual Hertz employees, but that's not every position. You have porters, right? You have cleaners, people that are supposed to inspect the vehicles, assess them for damage, clean the cars, transport the cars to and from. And usually those are contract folks. And those folks are here today and gone tomorrow. There's always people getting fired, quitting, leaving. It's like an Amazon warehouse worker over there. So now you have people, you never have a porter, you never have anybody to clean the cars consistently. So now what they do is try and rent out these nasty cars that haven't been cleaned because the Hertz manager is trying to increase his profit and his bonuses. So then they start renting out jacked up vehicles that were involved in accidents, that are dirty, that have smoke stains in them. You can smell them. They reek of marijuana. They're renting out vehicles that need new registration stickers, that don't have double plates. They're out of state plates. They only have one set. Like in the state of Illinois, you need a plate on the front and back. All kind of issues. They just rent out the car, and then half the time they don't even have cars. Especially if you go to another company. Like you try to get a car it's going to be a miracle if you get one, because for some reason nobody has any damn cars.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems here too. I mean, in Nebraska, good luck getting a car if you don't have a reservation a week in advance. Just being honest, they
I
don't
don't
have
understand. How is that even possible?
It's if you sum all of that up into one word, what's the issue? And it's culture. It's what we talked about with Tesla. The biggest risk to Tesla's future is that the culture is lost once Elon moves on or retires. The problem with that entire industry is there's a culture issue, and it has to be fixed, or it's just going to continue to become my favorite stock. Not to even, well, they filed bankruptcy already, but yeah, unless I can acquire the whole thing and change it from soup to nuts, top to bottom, you got to do your best to, like you said,
stay away,
to not freak out, get your rental, however you're going to do it, AAA, Geico, whatever you got to use to get a hold of one, and just pray you can get your car back.
Yeah, run away from Hertz, folks. I don't care if Tom Brady is the ambassador.
I would have loved to see Caribou Coffee go in there and say, look, we're going to make people feel good about being in here. So every Hertz location is going to have a Caribou Coffee inside.
See, but that would take a brilliant and smart CEO to put those two things together. And that's clearly what they don't have. They haven't had for the last 4 years because they've gone through 5 different CEOs. But now it's time for the most exciting part of the show, something new. We're going to do some client scenarios. All right. So, Monty Shockley, I'm going to give you 2 kind of pretend client scenarios, and you're going to tell us how you're going to assist and advise these 2 clients. These people are seeking out your financial advising services and need your consulting desperately. So I have scenario 1. I have Emily here, age 28, who is a marketing coordinator making $60,000 a year. She has financial goals of saving for a down payment on a home and starting to initially invest for retirement and pay off student loans. What should Emily do to accomplish her financial dream?
What is her financial dream?
To save for a down payment on a home, start investing for retirement, pay off her student loans.
And she's already making $60K a year?
Yes, as a marketing coordinator, fresh out of school. Yeah, fresh out of a master's degree.
And she's 28?
28.
Is she involved in a church group or some religious institution?
I don't have that. What I have is what I told you.
Okay, it's going to be important for her to figure out whether or not she wants a family in the future. You said she has no kids, correct?
No kids.
And she's approaching 30 years old, which means your biological clock is ticking and it's going to be harder for you to have children. So finding a suitable partner will help her handle the load as well as incorporate some of her personal goals and make things easier for herself. Now, if she doesn't have a firm grounding in a faith-based organization or a support group to help her create a real relationship with someone, then I would say that could also go left, because you could have someone sucking all the energy, resources, and wasting your time, making things harder for you to grow. So
it's crazy how when you say plan to have a family, it's crazy how that sounds so taboo. It's like, oh, how dare you suggest that her desire is to have a family? How dare you suggest that she should be looking for a suitable partner? Like, it's crazy how that sounds offensive these days.
I know it's
as if she can't do it all herself.
I've been advising clients now for I don't know how long, almost almost a decade now. The most successful clients that I have are ones that are working together in a partnership, married, 2 incomes, and talk about and respect the personal goals that each partner has. And they save money by working together to achieve those goals. Even if they don't like the goals. You know how many man caves are absolutely appalling to wives out there? But the ones who work together, the give and take, this guy can get his man cave and he's going to help her maybe start her clothing business down the street at the mall. And they achieve things together. Those are the most successful, even if they're just two teachers, a police officer, and a nurse. Having a good partnership is vital to your success. If you can do it, it can help you out a lot. If not, you have to be really careful if one of your goals is to start a family outside of marriage.
So that's going to be a question that you ask people in that scenario. If they're fresh out of school or, in their early 30s or late 20s, you ask them, do you have plans of starting a family?
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
interesting to talk about it in such a transactional way. I think people are just not used to hearing it that way, but it is. It's like, this is why people get prenups. This is why you talk about with your spouse who's going to do the dishes, who's going to throw out the trash. You have to kind of talk about these transactional things so that you can have harmony.
Yeah, you got to have mutual respect for each other's goals. And you have to be willing to support those things, even if they fail, even if you think it's stupid. You have to respect it because, people's feelings are always, they tend to be left off the table when they should be right in front of you, because that's where you start to become vulnerable. And the moment you stop doing that, you can't get to the truth. And that's tough. That's how people get broke up.
Well, Emily, you just got truth bombed. You just got freaking truth bombed. You better get yourself a man. You better get yourself a little hubby, a little sugar daddy, or you're not going to make it. You ain't paying off nothing. You're not retiring early. It ain't going to happen. You need to get yourself a boo thing, baby girl.
She can do it either way.
Well, let's say she didn't want a family right away. Let's say she's like, nope, I don't have any desire to be with anybody. I'm single. What do I do now?
You max out your 401k and you go live with your parents. You take care of them.
Max out the 401k. What do you mean by that?
So you want to contribute as much money as legally allowed into your 401k, so that when you're done, since you don't have plans of starting a family or anything like that, you have plenty of funds to draw from to reach your retirement goal.
You mean I can't save for retirement, pay off my student loans, and save for a down payment on a home while living in the $3,000 condo in Miami by myself?
I've met a lot of people, that decide to live on their own. And what do you want? You want objective truth on how to reach your goal? You want to retire at 72 or you want to retire at 58? What do you want? You want to retire at 75, 77? Go ahead. Don't do something drastic to build up your resources, and you'll see what happens. But if you want my advice, max out your 401k, save as much as you can, and go live with your parents. who
Truth
also
bombs.
started their life with understanding that they wanted a family, and that's why they had you in the first place.
Right. Folks, there's nothing wrong with wanting to start a family.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. It is not taboo. All right, let's go to scenario 2. I got a couple here, John and Susan. They're empty nesters who have recently seen their youngest child off to college. With the kids out the house, they're now focusing on their own financial future. They want to ensure that they can retire comfortably, pay their mortgage off, support their children's education expenses without sacrificing their retirement savings. What should they do?
What John and Susie should be doing are contacting every single person that they know to make sure that their son has a job, have plenty of job options all over the place. That child's career is the most important component to their retirement and their financial success.
How so?
Because if that child all of a sudden becomes their adult child, becomes dependent on them, there goes the savings.
Now, if let's say I don't think it says, okay, it says that they're still working, so they haven't retired yet. Is there anything that they should do to increase their income to pay off the mortgage and maybe advance or um, kind of start steamrolling or double their retirement savings, like, or do you think it's key to just maintain what they've been doing?
Well, the key question that I don't have the numbers, so I couldn't give you the answer. But what you want to do is see if they have enough investment income to pay the mortgage with. That way, they're never using their own money to pay down the bills. The mortgage really isn't the problem; it's how it's being paid. That would give them more opportunity to save and not use their principal to help fund their future goals. That's what you want to do. The mortgage isn't the problem. The problem is, where's the money coming from that's paying the mortgage? If they can get the son to pay the mortgage, or if they have enough investment assets where the interest is big enough, they're making enough from the interest to actually pay the mortgage, then they're preserving their capital as well as their financial futures.
So you're saying ahead of retirement, before they retire, go into their retirement investments and take out the money to pay the mortgage off if they have it.
No, I'm not saying pay the mortgage off. Outside of your retirement funds, because those are retirement funds, you should have other assets. Those assets, if there's enough of them, they should be used to pay the mortgage. The money you generate from those assets should be enough to pay the mortgage. If it's not, then you need to save more until you can do that.
Let's say John and Susie don't have any investments outside of what they put into a Roth IRA, so they're not going to touch it until retirement. Maybe combined they make $120,000 a year. What should they do in that scenario? If their goal is to pay off the house, keep up with the kids' college expenses, and then maximize their retirement investments.
Well, I think it's a very difficult situation without knowing all the resources they have. Initially, I would say don't worry about paying off the mortgage. If there's student loans, again, you need to find a way to make sure you can make the minimum payments for both of those. Maybe create an insurance policy or get an insurance policy that'll pay that stuff off if something happens to either of them, either John or Susie, and just focus on saving more money. In fact, I would encourage their child to stay with them as long as possible. Maybe cut the mortgage down in half and let him pay the other half.
Sounds good. Well, Monty Shockley, this has been an amazing episode of the Miles Pod Morning Show. I can't thank you enough for being on this morning. And my apologies to Matt Damon. We ran out of time again. Folks, every day is a good day.